Hi again, guys. Had to take a bit of a break after recording the first part of my response to Stefan Molyneux, and how he recognized that Trump was actually being deceiving when it came to the idea of the wall. Um, and it got cut short because the power ran out, and I just haven't had the time to record a second part. I'm going to try and do that here. Got my cat here being slightly annoying, but I love my cat, so what can he do? So we're going to talk about a bit about how other countries have been doing it, because that's what I was getting into. That's what I had written down is how other countries are doing with social economics. Now, of course, a lot of right-wing people like to point to Venezuela as an example of why social economics doesn't work, and and they'll also point to communist states when I think there is a lie there. There is a lie that has been pushed again and again, and it's just said. It's just oh well, obviously, communist, socialist, and democratic socialist no, hybrid economics are the same. I believe in hybrid economics, not pure socialist. So pure communist economics doesn't work because there's no competition. I mean, and that means that nobody wants to work, which is why communist Russia had a massive alcoholism problem. Soviet Russia, a lot of the men there were addicted to vodka that they could make for very cheap, and it was often badly made, could be poisonous, incredibly harmful to their health. In socialism, they banned luxury goods, which is essentially, or limited them, was essentially limiting the secondary and tertiary markets, which are incredibly important to an economy's growth. So what's the difference between social economics and hybrid economics? Well, obviously it's the hybrid, the other half, which is capitalism, right? Because if you have that competition, people have a reason to make things that aren't necessary. And they have reason to really go out on a limb and try something new. Which is why American car manufacturing was so superior. So, and the thing is, they'll bang on about Venezuela, but that's not a good example of a hybrid economy because it wasn't a hybrid economy. It was a pure socialist economic. And they'll go, well, they're supposed to be a socialist democracy. It's like, yes. And after say this so many times, you can be right wing on some issues and left wing on some issues, and social, social, structural, and economic policies you can be entirely different on. There are some. There are some. I mean, let's take the Nazis for example. They were socially fascist, economically hybrid. They believed in social syndicalized workforces that helped those who could not find work, did not find work, to get jobs and work for the state, or even work for other companies. They had massive work programs. On the other hand, they also believed in the purity of the German race and murdering lots of people. And here's the thing. It's actually the economics in Germany were wildly successful, which it's hard to talk about Nazi Germany and praise it in any way because they were so horrific. But at the end of the day, hybrid economics really boosted them into high gear enough to threaten the entire world after losing a war not long before that really kicked them down, right? But let's talk about today's socially democratic countries, or who run a hybrid system, which are the Nordic countries, which was the point I was getting onto. They are wildly, wildly successful. I mean, people are saying Europe is crumbling. Well, actually, the bits of Europe that are crumbling are the most right wing. Poland is falling apart because they're backwards and their government does not support the people and their economy is incredibly weak. Spain is also incredibly religiously conservative, and economically religiously conservative, socially Socially, they can be quite liberal in some ways, but they're also very conservative in others. And Greece, again, incredibly socially conservative and economically conservative. Whereas Britain, Finland, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, I mean, all of these countries are actually doing great. In Britain, we like to pretend that everything's terrible. But the fact of the matter is that our social policies have done massive work to helping our country. Now we're not as left as I would like economically because we can't have Tories in government, and we had corporatist Labour Party leaders before that, and again they made tax cuts for the rich, and it caused an unstable economy that crashed. But more pertinently, the Nordic countries are seeing wild economic success because they run entirely off of pragmatism rather than ideology. And if you're pragmatic, you do come to the hybrid system. Now that I've explained how the hybrid system has a proven track record of working, it hasn't been tried as much as I think the right would like to say in the past. They like, because socialism, communism, it's just BS. The right wing establishment chats total BS because the only countries doing it today, and they're the only countries to have done it so far, are the Nordic countries, and economically they are great. They've got the highest happiness ratings. They've got the highest GDP. On average, their people are doing incredibly well. And let's not forget that they also are not nearly as well positioned for economic success as, say, China and America, who are economically right libertarian. And again, you can criticize these countries for their views on immigration, for their views on gender equality, and whether or not you think they're going too far. But again, you do not have to believe in left-wing social politics. This is another thing that the establishment has drilled into our heads, is that you have to stick to your side of the political spectrum. Well, actually, this is why I'm the leftist black sheep, because I don't necessarily agree with a lot of immigration. I don't believe in all of this SJW pandering. I'm sure I'm probably more left than Stefan Molyneux' viewers on social politics, but not nearly as left as they think. But on economic politics, I definitely am, because I have done the research and I've seen what works. So why? What is hybrid economics, right? Because I've been asked, okay, what's the difference between socialism and hybrid or socialist capitalist economics, or social democratic economics? Well, here's the important difference: is you, instead of removing the top, right? So if you had the elites, the top 1%, the middle class, the working class, right? What social economics does is it gets rid of the elites, and sort of pushes them down to middle class a lot of the time. It pushes, and then it will push the working class up, and then it will create its own higher class of government, right? Where the government is the one that controls economics. That's not what we're doing. What we do is we get this top one, and we just move it a little bit down. And this is barely noticeable. If you're making $10 million a year, then I think it's fine for you to first of all, pay the taxes you owe. Because that's a big problem in America. America has, right wing will constantly say America has some of the highest tax rates in the world. Well, tax rates, whilst high tax rates are a thing, there's also a bunch of ways in which companies can avoid paying taxes. and actually the effective tax rate, which is really what matters, the amount of companies pay at the end of the day, America has the lowest. I mean, Amazon paid nothing in taxes. Like, come on, people. So we believe in just moving them down a little bit, and it's not like we're moving them down, or even moving. I mean, you barely see it, you barely notice. If you're making $20 million a year, you're probably paying an extra $10,000 on top of the taxes that you would owe if the current tax rate was in place. But of course, they're always avoiding their taxes and putting their taxes in offshore accounts. So economically, so you're moving the top class down a little bit, and the bottom class, you're then getting that money, and you're not just giving that to the bottom class. What you're doing is you're putting that into opt-in programs that help those people find work, to be able to training, education, support for single parents, infrastructure, those kinds of things, where you don't just give them stuff, but you give them the stuff that you give them what they need to be able to survive, and then train them to have the ability to thrive, right? Because there's a difference between surviving and thriving. And everyone wants to be thriving. They want to be living a comfortable life. Now, we're not saying we just give these people houses, which is something I disagree with the left on, the housing issue. What, for example, a very big economic idea is welfare, food stamps. Right? So you got to, and I've already explained how those actually help the economy, and they will help you even if you're not a recipient of them, because they create a more stable economy and they help keep unemployment down. And a big thing in the right-wing mantra is facts over emotion. Now, you might not want to give away that money, you might be uncomfortable giving those people money, you might get a bit upset that they're getting more money than you think they're owed. But at the end of the day, it gets you more money, creates a more stable economy, and creates a more stable government. And this is just something that the corporations, the right wing, the centrists in America have been lying to you about for ages, that these things don't work. When they do. It's not even an ideological thing. They just work. And I think you need to, there's a certain amount of thinking involved, with how far you want to go with it. It's been proven that hybrid economics, which, by the way, is sort of, it is just the best form of economics that we know of. I mean, maybe there's some sort of new system someone comes up with eventually, but it really is the best system. So why does this connect to Stefan Molyneux' point? Well, the wall isn't just the only thing Trump's lied about. And that kind of thing, the Republicans, the Democrats, they will just barefaced lie to you about the economics in our country, and they will feed you social beliefs, right? They'll go, oh, well, my district believes in gay marriage, believes in gay marriage, I'll support gay marriage. They don't, I won't. Now, of course, if you're representing the people, that's absolutely fine. But then they won't do what's in the people's best interest a lot of the time. For example, Donald Trump signed the net neutrality bill despite having a 4% popularity. Because they'll only vote what you want on social politics and economic politics. They don't care. They're doing what's best for the corporations. If the corporations are paying these, are basically buying these people their positions in government by funding their campaigns, is it any coincidence that they become more and they then go, the solution to economics is to give the government's money to these people, and they should pay less taxes? You really can't trust them on that, and I think it's foolish to. So, of course, this part's going to be less long than the other half. and it does tire me out doing this. But I think I've made all of my points that you need to realize that Trump isn't just betraying you now, and the Republicans, and it's not just Trump, it extends to the Republicans, it extends to the Democrats, it's all of them. They've been working against your best interests and lying to you about the fundamental ideas of economic and social politics this entire time. Anyway, see, it's been so long I've thrown facial hair, I'm going to shave off in a minute. But yeah, I'd just like to thank you for watching, and I think I'm going to do my next video on the idea of political activism, how involved in politics you should be, and until then, I just like